Hello, music fans. You're watching Death by Unicorn, where we talk about metal, rock, and prog music. And this is my September 2025 album release radar. I'm going to talk about all the albums that are coming out in September in the metal, rock, and prog world that I'm planning to listen to. And there might be some more that come out in September that I haven't heard of yet or don't have on my list. But there's 23 albums on this list, and hopefully you find something on here that's interesting to you and that you want to check out. I'm putting this up a little bit later than I wanted to. It's already, by the time I post this, it'll probably be September 7th, but wanted to get this up so that folks who are looking for some new stuff this month know what they should listen to. Let's start with September 5th, and we've got Wippy Bonstack releasing Correct Irregulars. This is the fourth album by this American artist, and it's kind of avant-garde experimental progressive rock with art rock, pop, math rock, indie rock, and electronic influences. Whippy Bonstack is the solo project of the songwriter composer Ben Conigliaro. I think that's how you pronounce the name. Sorry about that, Ben, if I mispronounced your last name. Ben has been involved in other projects like Sun Colored Chair, Wix, and In Dream View, but I've never heard any of those, so it will be my introduction to him. So definitely curious about this as it's heard it already, but don't want to spoil my rating because I'll put that up in my next video. But yeah, very quirky, very fun and complex for fans of Bubble Math and Mr. Bungle. Check it out. Whippy Bondstack, Correct Irregulars. Next on September 5th is Green Carnation. And yeah, all these albums from September 5th I've heard once or twice so far, but I want to listen to them again before I really give my ratings here on my channel. But this one by Green Carnation is also awesome. It's called The Dark Poem Part 1, The Shores of Melancholia. This is the seventh album by this Norwegian band. It's progressive metal, kind of progressive doom metal with gothic metal, alternative metal, death metal, post metal, black metal, pretty much like all sorts of different kinds of metal influences in there and even some straightforward kind of more progressive rock. It's not all super heavy or anything. There are some intense extreme moments, but it's actually mostly pretty melodic. This band, Green Carnation, formed way back in 1990, and it was formed by the former Emperor bass player, Turje Vikshay. I don't know if I pronounced that right as well, but this was formed by him before he joined Emperor, and that lineup of Green Carnation split up with the remaining members creating the excellent band In the Woods. Definitely check this album out if you like In the Woods. It reminds me a bit of them. Also, some parts on the vocals reminded me of Nevermore. Yeah, so check it out if you like In the Woods, Nevermore, Emperor, Enslaved, Catatonia. It's kind of like a mix of all those bands together. Really cool stuff. Green Carnation. Next on my list on September 5th, I have Tallah releasing Primeval Obsession Detachment, the third album by this American band, and it's metalcore with new metal, hardcore, rap, and alternative metal influences. And I thought their last album was really good as well, so I was interested to hear this. This continues the sound of their last one, so if you're a fan of that, definitely check it out. And the bass work from Max Portnoy here. He's the son of Mike Portnoy of Dream Theater. Really good bass work. He used to play drums in the band, but now he plays bass instead. Check this out if you like bands like Slipknot. Then I think you'll like Tallah. And last on my list for September 5th is Blessthefall with Gallows, the seventh album by this American melodic metalcore band. They've got post-hardcore and screamo influences. And I've listened to some of their stuff before. I never really got into them too much, but I enjoyed the singles from this one. Um, they captured my curiosity. Pretty straightforward metalcore stuff for fans of bands like Motionless in White, Escape the Fate of Mice and Men, stuff like that. check out Bless the Fall if you like that. Now let's move on to September 12th. Probably my most anticipated album of the year would be Between the Buried and Me and their album The Blue Nowhere. They're up there on my favorite bands list, if not my favorite. Them and Protest the Hero, Dream Theater, Haken, um, those kinds of bands are Caligula's Horus, Opeth. That's kind of my favorites right now. But yeah, Between the Buried and Me, maybe my favorite or in the top two or three depending on the day. They're releasing The Blue Nowhere, their 11th album. They're a great American progressive metal band, kind of metalcore with technical death metal influences too. Nice blend of styles, but really they are all over the map in terms of what they do and what kind of genres they dabble in. If they want to go crazy circus music, they can. If they want to do uh, country hoedown, breakdown, they totally can, or just punk or catchy pop parts, they can do it all. And yeah, every album they put out has been a masterpiece. So I'm really excited to hear this one. I've pre-ordered it even before hearing it because I just I expect great things from them. Between the Buried and Me is just one of the most exciting and adventurous progressive metalcore bands with the most impressive musicianship and compositions and performances. They put on a great live show. I'll be seeing them live soon as well. Their last album, Colors 2, was my album of the year for 2021. And if they can maintain that quality, they'll likely be able to get my album of the year honor again. And the singles so far have been amazing. So really pumped for The Blue Nowhere. If you're going to listen to one album on this list, this is the one you should listen to. And then we got Silverstein releasing Pink Moon on the same day. 13th album by this Canadian post-hardcore emo screamo band that has indie rock, pop, and metalcore influences. And this is actually their second album this year, so they've been busy putting out two full-length studio albums in the same year. Their first album from this year, Anti-Bloom, was very good, but I know this band is capable of excellent tier material. I think, however, Silverstein may be a bit past their prime. They're no longer in their heyday like they were in kind of the 2005 to 2013 time period. Hopefully, they can get back to those heights with this and get back to being one of the top tier post-hardcore bands. Uh, Instead, right now they're still solid. They never do anything that's too bad, but just kind of slipping out of the top tier. There's some more exciting post-hardcore bands now doing some pretty cool stuff, and that's actually a good segue into the next one, which is one of those post-hardcore bands that I'm liking more now. I'm digging. I think the stuff that Dance Gavin Dance is doing lately is a lot more interesting than Silverstein stuff. And they're kind of a post-hardcore band as well. So Dance Gavin Dance is releasing Pantheon the same day, their 11th album. They're an American post-hardcore band with progressive rock, math rock, and experimental rock influences. So yeah, more musically interesting than Silverstein in that they've got more progressive influences and more like time signature changes and more complex riffs and cooler guitar parts and stuff like that. I think every album by Dance Gavin Dance is at least very good. Some of them are near masterpiece. Really awesome. They're a band I love, and I look forward to hearing this new album from them. And another one on September 12th is Lorna Shore putting out I Feel the Everblack Festering Within Me. Um, if you feel the Everblack festering within you, maybe go see your doctor. This is their fifth album. They're an American deathcore band with symphonic black metal influences. And this band, Lorna Shore, just features some of the wildest deathcore vocals and screamed animal noises and breakdowns you'll hear. But they always have these nice melodic and symphonic elements to the music to keep it interesting compositionally, unlike some other deathcore bands that just pummel you with extremity the whole time. Lorna Shore does stay pretty extreme in the vocals, but instrumentally they've got some cool uh aspects of their sound that a lot of other deathcore bands don't have. So that makes me interested to check them out. So that's Lorna Shore. I feel the Everblack festering within me. Then I've got on my list Arjen Anthony Lucassen releasing songs no one will hear. Hopefully someone will hear this. This is the fourth album by this artist from the Netherlands. It's his fourth solo album, but of course, Arjen Anthony Lucassen has done a lot of work with his project Arion, as well as Star One, and among other projects. And he does these progressive rock operas with some metal influences. I'm a big fan of Arjen's work with Arion and Star One, and I enjoyed his Arjen Lucassen's Supersonic Revolution album that he made, but I've actually never listened to any of his true solo albums before that are just released under his name. So really looking forward to checking this out, and if this is good, I'll probably have to go check out his other solo albums because I like a lot of what he does. He's a really great musician, so highly recommend checking this out. Arjen Anthony Lucassen, songs no one will hear. Then I've got Umphrey's McGee with Blueprints on September 12th, their 15th album. They're an American progressive rock band, kind of a jam band with some jazz rock, funk rock, alternative rock, and metal influences in there. Never listened to a full album by Umphrey's McGee, but I like every track of theirs that I've heard so far, so curious to check this out. Not usually a huge jam band fan, but I do like King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard's probably the closest thing to that I like. So curious to explore that world a bit more. And last one on my September 12th list is Spinal Tap with The End Continues. And this is the fourth album by this American heavy metal with hard rock, glam metal, and comedy rock influences. Um, and of course, this is an album that coincides with the theatrical run of the new mockumentary movie Spinal Tap 2, The End Continues. So this band is actually a fictional band, and fictionally they're from England. So I put US on my list here because the comedians that play the band members are American, but they're playing a fictional band from England. So yeah, pretty cool. I'm interested to see the movie. Not sure if I'll see it, but I would like to uh, check the movie out as well, and I'll check the music out too, just to hear what they're doing here. Probably gonna be silly, probably gonna be funny. Maybe not the most essential thing on my list, but I'm just kind of curious, so I put it on my list. And next up, we're going to September 19th. And here we have a live album from Big Big Train, the amazing prog rock band from England called Are We Nearly There Yet? Definitely a band that I think puts out a lot of great stuff, so I'm excited to hear their live album. And then Lucid Planet is releasing Tanglewood, and this is kind of a live album. It's like almost like a live studio hybrid. Lucid Planet's an Australian progressive metal band with psychedelic rock, electronic, ambient, and progressive rock influences. And what this is a 55-minute live album that's been electronically hybridized. So they blend brand new sections, refreshed arrangements of known material, and immersive electronic production so it flows as a one cohesive journey, designed as a live set list, but experienced like a singular piece of music. And everything I've heard from Lucid Planet before has been excellent, so I expect this Tanglewood album to be also really enjoyable. Then I have Stone Jesus on my list. And yeah, I mean, look at Jesus's hair. I mean, you know he's stoned, right? Um, and that beard, maybe that's why he's so chill, right? So Songs to Sun is what this Stone Jesus album's called. The sixth album by this Ukrainian band, and it's kind of progressive stoner doom metal with prog rock, psych rock, and stoner rock influences in there. And This is apparently the first album in a forthcoming trilogy. They are releasing Songs to Sun this year, but then they plan to release ones called Songs to Moon and Songs to Earth coming out in the next couple of years. Never listened to an album by Stone Jesus before, but I took a sneak peek at some of the early release singles. They sound like a cool band, and they're on the cool label Season of Mist, so I'll definitely check them out. That label's been putting out lots of good stuff this year and even before. But yeah, I'm curious to check out the Stone Jesus Songs to Sun. Next up on September 19th, the last one on my list for that day is Cardiacs and their album LSD. This is the sixth album by this band from the UK, and it's experimental, progressive, psychedelic art rock. Got some post-punk, pop, and avant-garde influences in there. Now, Cardiacs is an English band. I've actually never listened to a full album by them, but I've heard really good things, and I like the single that I've heard, Down Up. It's been actually 26 years since the last Cardiac studio album. Apparently, this was supposed to be released in 2008. Production was indefinitely postponed after frontman Tim Smith had a cardiac arrest and stroke on June 25th, 2008, leaving him unable to play or provide vocals. And he's unfortunately passed away in 2020. So rest in peace to Tim. But in 2024, Tim Smith's brother Jim revealed that work on this LSD album had continued during Tim's illness and after his death, and it reached the mixing phase of recording in 2024, and it seems like they finally finished it. So it's kind of a posthumous album for Tim Smith and great of his brother to kind of finish the work that he started. And I'm curious to hear how this turned out. So you're going to be checking that out, LSD by Cardiacs. Now let's jump over to September 24th. Paul Meany is putting out Forever Phase, the debut solo album by this American artist, and it's alternative rock with electronic, indie rock, soul, psychedelic rock, and post-rock influences. And while this is his debut solo album, Paul Meany is known for co-producing and collaborating with much of 21 Pilots' work since 2017. He's also done production for Pierce the Veil and Youngblood. And outside of production, he's most notable for being the lead singer and keyboardist for the alternative rock project Mute Math, of which he's the sole member since 2017. Next up on September 26th, I've got DarWin releasing Distorted Mirror, the fifth album by this band from the UK, and it's progressive rock with jazz fusion and metal influences. And I thought their last album was good, so I'm looking forward to this. And another live album on my list. I've been listening to some more live albums lately and enjoying some of them. I don't, before this year, I hadn't really been putting them on my list, but there's been some great ones this year from Haken, from Gentle Giant, and I'm excited for this one, Beat with Beat Live. This is, I guess it's an American band now, but it's pretty much it's a King Crimson tribute act that features two of the members from the 1980s lineup of King Crimson. Um, but basically, it features the American members of that lineup rather than the uh, British members. So yeah, it's kind of like an American band paying homage to a UK act. And it's progressive art rock with new wave, industrial, and post-punk influences. It's really a supergroup beat. They feature Adrian Belew and Tony Levin, who, of course, were in the 1980s King Crimson lineup. And they've recruited Steve Vai on guitar to do Robert Fripp's parts and Danny Carey on drums to do Bill Bruford's parts. So these are very talented musicians. I've seen some clips on YouTube already, so I know this will be top-notch stuff that's beat live. Then I've got Amorphous releasing Borderland. the 15th album by this Finnish band, and it's progressive melodic death metal with folk metal, doom metal, melodic heavy metal, and hard rock influences. Never listened to a full album by Amorphous, but from the sounds of the singles, it sounds like it'll be right up my alley, so I'm definitely checking this out. Then I've got Revocation with New Gods, New Masters, the ninth album by this American band. This is progressive technical death metal with thrash metal influences. And I love their last album, Nether Heaven from 2022. I thought that was excellent. They really know how to play guitar. If you're a fan of Fallujah, I think you'll like this. And then Biffy Clyro is releasing Futic, the 10th album by this uh, I guess they're a band, yeah, Scottish band. Uh, Alternative rock with progressive rock, post-hardcore, emo, pop rock, and art rock, and even a little bit of like alternative metal from time to time. Not exactly a metal band, but I've never listened to a full album by them, but I've enjoyed albums I've heard from some adjacent bands like Empire State Bastard, which features Mike Vennert, formerly of Ocean Size, who's a touring member of Biffy Clyro. And Empire State Bastard also features Simon Neil of Biffy Clyro. And I also enjoyed Vennert's music, some of his solo music and Ocean Size. So I figure I'll check this out because I like some of the related artists and I like what I've heard from Biffy Clyro so far. But yeah, not an expert on Biffy Clyro, but looking to learn some more. Then I've got a legend here from Led Zeppelin, Robert Plant, and Saving Grace is the name of the album, and I think it's also kind of the name of like the backing band, like the studio band and touring band that's playing with Robert Plant for this album cycle. And this is Robert Plant's 12th solo album, if you count this as a solo album. And of course, it's blues rock with folk, country, hard rock, and heavy metal influences. Kind of like imagine the Led Zeppelin sound, and that's kind of what I'm expecting here. So this album's credited to Robert Plant with Susie Diane, and then Saving Grace is named after the band Plant has been playing with for over 6 years. So yeah, if you want to hear some music from this legend from Led Zeppelin, definitely check this out. And last on my list for September is Royal Sorrow with their album Inner Deeps, the debut album by this progressive metal band from the UK that has alternative metal influences. And the singles from this have been great. I'm looking forward to this for fans of Leprous and Carnival. And that's it for these albums that I'll be checking out in September 2025. Which of these are you most excited for? Let me know down in the comments. And is there anything else coming out in September 2025 that you think I might enjoy? Also, let me know. And stay tuned for my next video. If you like metal, rock, and prog, you're in the right place. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. My next video will probably be my first impressions on these four albums, and I'll give them a rating in one of my tiers. And not sure what I'll talk about after that, but every week or so I post my first impressions of new music as it comes out. So of course I'll be posting my thoughts on all these albums as I listen to them. Thank you for watching and peace out.